Story 1. Yesterday, I lost my husband of 24 years 3 years ago to cancer. It was 4 months from the discovery of the cancer for him to pass away. I saw his death. I wouldn't wish that on my absolute worst enemy. Story 2. Wednesday night. I nearly got attacked by a patient earlier in the day, and adrenaline kept me going through the rest of the day. But when I got home, my husband asked me if I was okay. It turns out I wasn't. Story 3. Got out of an 8-year relationship 3 months ago. I've been trying to move ahead, but today, alone in my house, listening to bittersweet poetry, I just couldn't hold the tears in anymore. Story 4. When my dad died, and I had to move home to look after my severely disabled mother, I'm not sure if I was crying because he was gone or because my life as I knew it was over. Probably both. Story 5. Just last week, it was my 21st birthday, and I went home to see the family. I ended up just listening to my parents argue the whole night. It wasn't a surprise, really. I just didn't expect it on my birthday. Story 6. Last night, a guy who has been telling me he loves me and such posted romantic pictures with another girl after slowly ghosting me. The first moment when you wake up the next day and remember feels like swallowing poison. Story 7. Me sitting here like, you mean people do not cry at least every other day for any reason, no reason, good reason, stupid reason, etc.? Maybe I need medication. Story 8. Last night, I was staring at both my kids sleeping, thinking about how fast life is going by. Do you want to hear something sad as a parent? There will be a day when you pick up your child for the last time. Story 9. Yesterday, my pup of 15 years was put to sleep on the 4th. Nothing's the same. I think about him every day. I haven't cried this hard since 6 years ago when my dad died. And even then, I didn't cry this much and this hard when my dad died. Story 10. Today, I became emotional over an animation. I've gotten more sensitive as I've gotten older. I tend to cry very easily, but it's often because I'm inspired, happy, or hopeful, and less often because I'm sad. Story 11. This morning, a post about painting walls on the do-it-yourself subreddit looked like a wall my mom painted. She would always make fun of herself for that wall. The picture reminded me of her and got to me. She died in August, and yesterday was her birthday. Story 12. My ragdoll boy died in my arms. He was 15, and I made sure the last year of his life was perfect. He passed away loved and warm at home. When I found him, I promised him I would be his last home. That he's never going to be without me, and I'm never giving him up unless it's to the Lord himself. I cried because I love him, I cried because I was going to miss him, and I cried because I kept that promise. Story 13. During the week in therapy, we were talking about my daughter and some of the tough things she's going through. I found it hard to keep it together. I just love her so much. Story 14. Last summer, I was talking to my older brother about my relationship with my parents and kind of just broke down. Not usually a crier, but it happened suddenly. Story 15. Damn, this is really bringing memories. I cried because I went to the doctor, and he pretty much told me that in the future there could be a possibility that I will need a heart transplant when I'm older. While I'm still young and it's nowhere near me, it is still shocking to hear your doctor tell you something so grim, and it made me sad and have an existential crisis. Story 16. Exactly 1 week ago, I thought I was going to spend time with my husband, but he decided at the last minute that he didn't want to follow through with our plans, and he just disappeared for the rest of the day. Story 17. A couple of hours ago, 10 months, and he never even tried to come back. I just broke down, completely wrecked by how much I still want him. It hurts knowing he has moved on so easily while I am still stuck here, waiting for the day this pain finally fades. Heartbreak is awful. It hurts everywhere and I feel frozen in time. Story 18. Last week, I took a nap and dreamed, for the first time, of a friend and lover who died 6 months ago. In my dream, a wish was granted to me, and I chose to resurrect him for one day to relive the memories and moments we had together. We were playing in the snow, then hugging and kissing on the couch. I grabbed his face and told him, "I love you." We both knew it wasn't going to last and that he was dead. When I woke up, I started to sob hard. I couldn't even breathe properly. I was sad but so happy to finally meet him in my dreams. I'm not a believer. I don't believe in God or any deities. But I believe my friend actually reached out to me in my sleep to let me know he was okay and that I'm going to be okay. Story 19. Literally last night, I was scrolling through TikTok and found a video of a man being gifted a new puppy after his old dog had passed away. He started crying and I immediately started crying. For me, it's guaranteed with "here's a new dog for you" videos. If the person getting the dog cries, I will always 100% start crying too. Story 20. The last ugly cry was in the days after I had to put down my cat last December. The last tears I shed were on Tuesday when I was thinking of her multiple times during the day, and then again when I saw a video of a YouTube channel remembering their cat that had recently died. And my eyes have gotten a bit watery while writing this. Story 21. Today in the car with one of my closest friends, while having a serious, deep conversation about something in my mind that has been troubling me for a while. Story 22. Every day for the last week, we have been grieving because we put our family dog to sleep. He was an old man. We raised him with my 3 kids. I miss him deeply. Now my nest is truly empty. Story 23. A few days ago, everything started falling apart in my life. I can't afford to pay rent to my own family. I'm unemployed, and everyone around me acts like it's the easiest thing ever to get a job right now. The people telling me what to do either own a small business and have plenty of cash, my dad and roommate, haven't applied to anything in over 5 years, my mom and sister, or haven't worked in over 10 years, my grandparents. None of these people have dealt with artificial intelligence looking at resumes and discarding them for lacking keywords. I just get told it won't be long because I live in a great city with a lot of jobs. But Lincoln, Nebraska is not amazing. I love it, but it's not. There are definitely not hundreds of fake job listings. Story 24. Almost every day since May, my only daughter passed away at 24. She was diagnosed with lupus at 13, and it was a tough road ever since. I always believed that she would get better one day, that I would see her have a family of her own. She loved kids and had this natural ability to comfort them. Those hopes and dreams are gone now, and it hurts so much. Even more so because her birthday is in a few days. I had planned a big party for her 25th. Story 25. Last night and most nights because I'm tired of being depressed. It's been 28 years of treatment-resistant depression. I don't even remember what it feels like to not be depressed. Story 26. This morning, nothing but happy tears. A 25-year-old Palestinian journalist named Fadi al-Wahidi was finally evacuated from Gaza after efforts to evacuate him for medical treatment abroad were delayed by its Israel. In early October of last year, Fadi was targeted by the Israeli Defense Force, then shot in the spine and is now paraplegic. Story 27. Sometime back when I was still in high school, my mother was yelling at me because I was failing all of my classes, even though she knew how much mental stress I was under at the time and how many little notes I wrote on various schoolwork that were so alarming they had to be sent to the counselor and to my parents. Story 28. This afternoon, my grandfather turns 86 tomorrow and just fell and broke his ankle. It's hard seeing him age and getting hurt, and I get really emotional knowing I don't have much time left with him. Story 29. Crying almost non-stop since yesterday. My cat who lives in another country with my parents is unwell, likely having cancer and a wound on her face that is not healing. She will probably pass away soon, and I don't know if I will ever see her again. I had her for 13 years, which is half of my life. I don't know how to stop crying. Story 30. A few weeks ago, I realized that as a man, I'm often not allowed to express emotions like crying around others. Every once in a while, I have a moment alone where I experience a little breakdown, realizing again just how alone I am and how I'll never be anybody's favorite person. Story 31. Christmas Eve. My friend passed away in August. His wife passed away 4 years prior, and they used to spend the holiday at my house. I stopped into a place we used to go to eat, and the owner asked where my friend was. I sort of held it together in the restaurant, but lost it when I got back to my car. Story 32. Yesterday and almost every day, I remember that I lost my chances of being a mother and having a baby. Well, here come the tears again. It hurts a lot. Story 33. I was worried that my dad was disappointed in me about my current position in life, and he's never indicated as such, but I was worried. So, I sent him an email basically admitting my feelings and hoping he wasn't terribly disappointed in me. His response: I have never once been disappointed in you. You have been one of the greatest accomplishments in my life. You became a self-sufficient and kind man, who I always loved talking to and being able to spend time with. Cue the tears. Story 34. A couple of months ago, I'm getting old and I'm devastated by the potential I wasted because my parents meticulously taught me to deny it. Nothing aggravated my father more than the thought of me believing in myself. Story 35. Today and every day lately, I'm trapped in an unsafe situation, and I've been trying to get help to escape for a long time, but to no avail. Life seems hopeless and bleak, and I'm at the end of my rope. I really need help, but I've tried everything that I can think of short of putting myself at risk. I just don't know what else to do anymore. Story 36. This morning, I've been going through a lot lately that started with getting laid off back in September, and I had to make some big decisions this week. It's been a week of anxiety, panic attacks, and ugly crying, but the tears this morning were from relief and hope. I still don't know what the future holds, but I have my husband, family, and friends, and my 2 cats to help and support me. It will be okay. Story 37. Just today, it's my 18th anniversary, and my wife and I just watched our wedding video with our 8 and 12-year-old for the first time. My mother is no longer with us, and I sat through my dance with her and listened to her speech for the first time in over 10 years. It was bittersweet. She made several comments about wanting grandchildren. She never met them, but they were both snuggling with me while we watched, and when I started crying, they both hugged me as tightly as their little bodies allowed them to. Story 38. When my wife walked down the aisle at our wedding, that just wasn't the reasoning. We moved up our wedding because her dad, my father-in-law, got stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and I asked her 3 brothers to walk her down the aisle. They are all farmers, blue-collar, big deer hunter type of men, and it hurt knowing that my father-in-law could not be there to do that job. I had more of a relationship with him in the 6 years that I knew him than I did with my own dad. He taught me how to hunt and be a better man, the type of guy who does deals with cash on hand and a firm handshake. He was only 62 when he passed. So, for those who are going through relatives or friends who are sick, give them that call or visit them. Life is short. Story 39. Yesterday, my work best friend had to take a leave of absence because his residency application process came to a halt and his work visa is expiring. He has 60 days to sort something out before he has to go home. We had what felt like our last work lunch together, and I couldn't help but feel angry about how unfair the world is right now. Story 40. 3 weeks ago, I just felt like I hit rock bottom in my life, both with my passion career and trying to find another job. So many rejections no matter how much I try, and seeing everyone else's wins or being at a place where I want to be in my life. Just overall disappointed in myself. Story 41. So from what I gather, it's not normal to just randomly cry from invasive shower or driving thoughts of horrific. What if scenarios regarding your loved ones? Story 42. I've been crying on and off for the last 2 weeks. My wife works in Medicaid, and I work in the cannabis industry, and neither of us knows how long President Musk is going to allow us to keep living. Also, we have a very smart young woman we're raising, and now college is basically just gone. I already have bad post-traumatic stress disorder and anxiety issues, and I've been functionally catatonic for the last 2 weeks, just gonna work, coming home, getting so stoned I can't feel anything, have a panic attack, take an alprazolam, and fall asleep. Yes, it's unhealthy, but at this point, I don't know what else I can do. Story 43. Today, I cry pretty regularly about my future as a transgender woman living in America. Every day since Donald Trump returned to power, I have cried. I fear so much for the future of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning, intersex, asexual, and others community. I fear the day the fascists round us up and put us into camps. I am terrified for the future every single day and just can't stop crying when I think about it. I am crying even now just typing this. Story 44. Last Friday, my family had the flu all week, And when I finally had the energy to take my daughter to the doctor because she spiked a fever again, she had respiratory syncytial virus. She's perfectly fine, and she never got really sick, but I felt exhausted. Later that day, no one would take the time to explain how to use a nebulizer, and I cried a lot. Story 45. A couple of days ago, I cried over a wet specimen. My husband's coworker knows that I like weird oddities and creepy things and had asked me if I wanted a wet specimen of a rabbit fetus. I bawled my eyes out when I was asked about it. My husband had to explain to them that I do not enjoy or collect anything related to those things, and that I always cry over anything baby or animal related. Story 46. Yesterday, my grandma passed away in November, and I have the revelation of my grandma is dead almost every day, and I can't come to terms with it. I cried because if there is an afterlife, I'll have to wait so long to see her again. And if there isn't, I'll never see her again. I need to see her. I have so much I still want to tell her. Story 47. Last night, I popped my head into my daughter's room to check on her as I was heading to bed. She was fast asleep but sprawled out in the bed, and she just looked so big. My little baby is growing up, and it hit me right in the feels. Edit. I popped my head in, not pooped my head in.